Simultaneous equations. Let's talk about those and I'll show you a method hack. These questions are rather poorly answered by students. I'm not surprised. They come at the end of the paper and they're tricky. Students have difficulty starting off, and I'm not surprised because there's a lot of information in here. A lot of it's a bit surplus. This is quite surplus. So I think, what do we look at first is a good question to get us started. And in order to know what we look at first, we need to know how we are going to answer this sort of question. So let's look at 3 ways of solving a very simple problem. And we can then work out what we're going to look at once we know what we're going to do. We can eliminate y, we can eliminate x, or we can make a substitution. You can see these 2 equations have the same number of x's, but they have the same number of y's, only one is positive and one is negative. Brilliant. If we add equation 1 and equation 2, the y's are going to disappear because you've got 1 there and you've got minus 1 here. So you would end up with 2x equals 6, 2x from here, and 4 and 2 from there. Divide by 2, x equals 3. We're halfway there now, and we can use this. We can substitute our knowledge of x equaling 3 into either of these equations. We can just pick quickly. Substitute into 1. We know that x is x, so the original equation is x plus y equals 4. We know x is 3, so it's 3 plus y equals 4. Subtract 3 from both sides, we get y equals 1. So there is our answer. X equals 3, y equals 1. Obviously, you know me, there's going to be a check. So let's have a look. We can put 3 and 1 at the top here. X is 3, y is 1, 3 plus 1 is 4. Very good. X is 3 minus 1 equals 2. Well, that works. So I'm going to give myself my imaginary tick and my little drop of dopamine. Thank you very much. That's why I do maths. We could eliminate x, however. That's the other way of doing it. Slightly more complicated. We've got 1x here and 1x there. So we could subtract equation 1 from equation 2 or equation 2 from equation 1. I'm going to subtract 2 from 1. So I want 1 minus 2. 1 minus 2, well, gets rid of all the x's. 1 is plus 1y minus 1y. So if you're subtracting a minus number, you add. So that's 2y, and 4 minus 2, 2y equals 2. Divide by 2, well, y equals 1, obviously. And we would then use this, we would stub that into equation 1 and 2, and we would get the same answer, y equals 1, x equals 3. It wouldn't take much longer. Now, substitution. Why does anyone do substitution? We'll take this equation first, where x equals minus y equals 2. We'll add y to both sides. So we find what x is in terms of y, and it's y plus 2. Great. So now if we've used 2 to get this substitution, we are going to use equation 1. This is equation 1. X plus y equals 4. And we replace this x with what we know it equals in terms of y. So we'll replace it with 2 plus y. So we end up with 2 plus y plus y. I want to get what y is worth, so I subtract 2 from both sides. I get 2y here equals 2. And I divide by 2, so you get y equals 1. Look at all this work I've had to do to get what I can get really quickly here. I now have y equals 1, and I'm going to substitute into one of these equations. Substitute into equation 2, which is x minus y equals 2. So x minus y equals 2. I know that y is equal to 1, so I can put 1 here. X minus 1 equals 2. Add 1 to both sides. X equals 3. Same answer. X equals 3. X equals 1. Of course, it's going to be the same answer. We've just solved it a different way. A lot of people fail when they do substitution because they get halfway through it and forget where they're going. I'm not surprised. It is boring. It takes a lot of time and effort, and I wouldn't use it. The only time I use substitution is if I've got something involving x squared or y squared. You will not see x squared or y squared at all. Don't worry about that. I would always recommend that you use the elimination method, and whether you eliminate x or y depends on this part of the equation here. So let me show you the steps that I would take to solve a problem. I'd have a think first. I would look at the equation to decide what to do, and I would decide whether to eliminate x or y. I would then go on to step 2. Having solved x or y, I would substitute the known value into either of the equations. Either of the equations will do, and then of course I would check. 3 stages. You get 1 mark for this, 1 mark for that, and 1 mark for getting the answer right. So provided you show some knowledge of the direction, you might get 1 or 2 marks from this, even if you get the absolute question wrong. So here's an example. What do we look at first? Well, now we know that we're going to eliminate, we start to look at how you eliminate, and I would say don't look at that. Don't look at that. In fact, we know it's x, y, and we know it's x, y, they're in the same order. We don't even need to look at those, so they can go. These are the 2 things I look at. These 2, the coefficients, or the number of x's, and the coefficients of y's. What permutation of these 2 numbers or these 2 numbers can I use to get rid of the x and y's, or to call it, it's more sophisticated, eliminate. In this case, I've just got to add these 2 together. A rather complicated way. If I wanted to get rid of the x, I'd have to multiply this by 3, this equation, which would give me 6x, and this one at the top I'd multiply by 2. What a palaver. Then I'd subtract one from the other. Oh no. I have 2y here, 2y minus 2y there, 2y here. Just add the 2 equations together. So if I call them 1 and 2, well, I'm going to eliminate by adding 1 to 2. So get the equations back, and if I add 1 to 2, I get 5x, I get no y's, and I have minus 5 and 10, which gives me 5, and hence x equals 1. Pretty simple stuff. Substitute into either. I'm going to go for 2. So x equals 2x plus 2y equals 10. I know this is 2 because I know x is equal to 1. 2 plus 2y equals 10. Minus 2 to get the y's on its own. Take 2 off both sides. 2y equals 8. Divide by 2. Y equals 4. So I have the answer. X equals 1 and y equals 4. And obviously I would check. So put it into the first equation. X equals 1, y equals 4. 3 times 1, that's 3. Minus 2 times 4, well that's 8. 3 minus 8 equals minus 5. Let's do the second one. 2x plus 2y equals 10. 2 times 1 plus 2 times 4 equals 10. Right, does it? 2 plus 8 equals 10. Whew. I'm always relieved when it works out. That's why I get a little bit of I give myself a tick and a moment to enjoy it. Thanks very much. So the other way of checking, of course, if you don't want to do all this, is to write 1 and 4, the values that you've decided are x and y at the top, and do it mentally. 3 times 1 minus 2 times 4, 5, 2 times 1, 2, 2 times 4, 8, 10. Hopefully that will work out for you. Here's another example. Now again, we're looking at these numbers here and these numbers here, so concentrate on those. Bit more complicated here. We can't get away with just adding the 2 equations. We've got a 2 and a 4. So I could double this equation at the bottom, equation 2 if you like, and then subtract one from the other, which will get rid of these. But it's a bit hard. I don't like subtraction, if I can get away with it. This is better. If I double the top equation, my minus 2 becomes minus 4, and then I can simply add it to plus 4. So 2 times the top plus the bottom, and I get rid of the y's. Let's have a look. Column 1 and 2, eliminate. Sounds like a Dalek. 2 times 1, that's going to give me 4x becomes 8x, minus 2x becomes minus 4y, 11 becomes 22. It's important to remember to multiply this side of the equation too. Sometimes students go, all right, well, I'm really interested in getting minus 4y. So they do the 8x and they do the minus 4y, and then they just write equals 11. because they've got what they wanted and they've just sort of faded away. Well, try not to fade away. You do the same to both sides of any equation. So I've got 2 minus 1. I am now going to add it to the second equation because that's plus 4y, that's minus 4y. Let's add these two equations. How many x's have we got? Well, 2 plus 8, we've got 10x. On this side, 13 plus 22, we've got 35. Seems like a division by 10 to me. Divide by 10, x equals 3.5. Well, it's better than it being 4/17 or something. If it was 4/17, then I've probably gone wrong. 3.5 is okay. I'll live with that. So now I've got one value. I need to substitute that into one of these equations in order to find the y. So substitute. Which equation? I don't mind. I've avoided the minus. Why not? So I've got 2x plus 4y equals 13. I know what x is. So 2x is equal to 7 plus 4y equals 13. I subtract the 7 from both sides. 4y equals 6. And I divide by 4. Y equals 1.5. Use your calculator if you need to. You'll probably have one for this question. So there's my answer. X equals 3.5. Y equals 1.5. Of course I'm going to check this. So x equals 3.5. Y equals 1.5. Let's put it into that first equation. 4x minus 2y equals 11. 4 times 3.5. Well, 2 times 3.5 is 7, so that's 14, I imagine. Minus 2y, 1.5, so minus 3. 14 minus 3 is 11. That's good. Second equation, 2x plus 4y equals 13. 2x plus 4y equals 13. 2x is 7. 4y is 4 times 1.5, 6. 6 plus 7 is 13. Excellent. A little moment to enjoy myself. And let's move on. The other way of checking it, of course, is to put 3.5 and 1.5 above here. 4 times 3. It's the same sum. It's slightly, it's quicker, but slightly harder to do it that way. So, to reiterate and to summarise, have a little think. Am I eliminating x or y? The thing to look at are these numbers here. 3 and the 2 and the minus 2 and the 2. And that leads to an answer for x or y, and then you substitute that known value into either of the equations. And of course, you know me, then you check it. And you can move on feeling happy. What have we done? Well, it's a difficult question. And I hope by deciding beforehand what to do, i.e. to eliminate x and y, we've made it a little bit easier. You don't have to think about everything when you start, and you know exactly what to focus on. You focus on those numbers and the easiest way to eliminate x or y. Right. I hope you enjoy the rest of the videos. Best of luck.